If you look around my office, you might realize I have kind of a love for dark, twisted cartoons. And a lot of that may be because I grew up with a lot of dark, twisted cartoons. Now, I'm not talking about the ones like Batman or ones that were meant for older kids. I'm talking about the ones that were meant for little kids, and they probably should have been made for little kids. And I loved the hell out of them. I enjoyed how much they scared me. I loved how every time you got through one, you felt a little tougher. So I'm doing a series reacting and reviewing them. We're gonna analyze how creative they are, how dark they are, and if the dark, twisted tone was warranted. So join me in taking a look at some dark tunes. It's a pretty intense episode when someone having their eyes removed isn't the worst part of it. Bestest Friend was released in 2001. It was only the second episode of Invader Zim, and I think it set the tone pretty well. Let's take a look. So like I mentioned before, I am not an expert on this show. What I've seen I like, but I don't know a ton about it. But I am a lover of dark, sick, twisted shit, and that is all over this, so I am very happy to look this over for you. This is said to be the second darkest episode, the first one being Dark Harvest, which I already talked about, and apparently these were supposed to be shown side by side, but everyone just freaked out and said that's way too violent, way too twisted, so they broke it up. I really like this slip up here because it's not like this kid is smushing his face down on purpose. It's just convenient, but he's not gonna apologize either. He's still a bully. I think that kind of shows how truly worthless he is at this school. He's not even worth acknowledging a ha-ha from him.
That new kid's a freak. I think his name is Zip or something.
The angles and backgrounds, once again, you'll notice are very distorted, like it's in a fisheye lens. So instead of the ground being very straight, it'll be curved. They do this because people in fisheye lenses, not only does it show more of the background, but if there's a person in it, particularly if they're close to the camera, they'll look distorted. And you see a lot of dark, twisted movies utilize this. So very naturally, the show is too, even though it's hand-drawn. So they don't just put a lens on, they have to actually draw what they think a fisheye lens perspective would look like, and I think it looks pretty good.
What kind of kid doesn't have any friends? It's so inhuman.
I enjoy how the plots of these are usually very simple. He just doesn't want to be discovered, so he'll go to these extreme overcorrections that would get him discovered a lot easier, but thankfully the place he lives in just doesn't care. I always wondered if it was intentional that they're kind of sharing an eye there. Now, the way these are drawn, the eyes are very bulgy. They're kind of like Simpson eyes, so they kind of protrude out over the face. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I almost wonder if there's something about people being close and being friends that they're kind of sharing eyes, even foreshadowing what's going to happen to one of these kids. So I don't know. Could just be coincidence. Either way, it looks kind of funny and freaky.
I'm looking for a friend.
I was born with webbed fish toes. Want to see?
I like this idea too, that one of the kids is so weird, he actually freaks out the alien.
Would you?
And what can I add to that? That's just funny.
These human filthies should be honored to even be considered as possible friends of Zim.
Same with the above shot here. Still wide angle, still tilted, it's just higher up this time. And what's interesting is when you're doing a live action shoot, it's a little trickier to get because you have to light everything. And you know, you can see a lot more with wide angle lens. It's sometimes a little tougher to get high up or lower to the ground. With animation, that doesn't matter. You can just draw it. And a lot of background artists I've heard say they like when they're kind of challenged. They can draw something a little bit more strange or at a different angle.
Who among you feels they are worthy enough to be my best friend?
So we have these ridiculous best friend tests that of course make no sense, and that's funny enough, but what makes it even better is one of them actually passes the tests. Like, one is how absorbent they are, and best friend here actually has an absorbent head. That's just so funny. And the rest of the kids are tortured with God knows what this is. And of course, this part of the joke, we don't know what those two do. We just see the after effects. And apparently in the original version, there was blood splattering on the wall, but big shock that was cut out.
I'd like you all to meet Keith, He's my best friend. Not yours, mine.
Much like Third Rock from the Sun, there's two ways a lot of these jokes work. One is just how selfish the aliens are. He'll drag around this kid and say, this is my best friend, just not caring at all for him. But the second layer it works on is that they are aliens. So to them, that might be how they think you're supposed to treat a best friend. So I love shows like this where somebody comes and visits a planet, even though it's been done to death. Because if you do it right, if you do it cleverly, it can surprisingly work on a lot of levels. There's actually good commentary to it if it's done right. And also like Third Rock, the humans are made funnier because any normal human being would not want to be used as a means of hitting a ball, but it just shows how pathetic this boy is and he gladly goes along with it. Again, that's one of the reasons I really like these kind of stories, if somebody utilizes and realizes the potential you can get out of it.
Our mission together is done. Good job, soldier. Be gone with you. You got any video games? Yes.
A joke you can see coming, but the characters are so good you still laugh even though it's predictable. A little rack focus there. You didn't usually see that in animated shows at the time. Sometimes you saw it in some Warner Brothers shows, but again, it sort of adds more of a three-dimensional layer to it. Like the wide-angle lens, it just makes it look more cinematic.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Two of my favorite jokes coming up here because you just question how the hell he does it. One is that he calls him on the phone and then he has someone on the airline and it's also him. Just how did he do that? Did he have two phones? And then my other favorite is riding his bike here twice. They are just so close together and they only need two. Three would have been too much because it would give you the impression that he's just going round and round and round somehow really fast, but just happening twice is just odd enough. That's just the weird right number of times to do it.
Do not let anyone in the house.
Yes, sir!
So you can tell a lot of these angles look difficult to draw, but they look fun to draw. It doesn't look like anyone was rolling their eyes, oh, I gotta do this today. No, they were allowed to go really crazy and exaggerate everything and throw in a whole bunch of crazy line work. It gives the impression like they had a lot of fun on the visual style of this. This is Gur's sort of anime transformation into dog suit, which looks like it's gonna be fancy, but it's just him zipping it up. I can't tell you how many of those plushies I've seen at conventions.
I told you you're fired!
You don't like waffles?
Another anime-style shot with bead action lines and stuff that's not needed. It just adds a little bit more personality to it. Just those little touches really go a long way.
Party after school at Zim's house. You mean the freak with that one friend that makes him even freakier?
Missed opportunity for a joke. I think after she said with that one kid that makes him even freakier, Keith should have said, yes! Like he either didn't put it together or he does, he just doesn't care.
I can see them now.
I just realized another level this kind of works as is not only is it a selfish alien, but it's a selfish alien boy. So when he thinks of these fantasies of what he imagines is going to happen, it's people with pitchforks and torches to have a party, but they still capture him and still have the party, and then the party has fucking roller coasters in it, stuff like that. I mean, just that's something a little kid would imagine, but especially a little kid selfish alien. Like I said, there's just these little levels that they add on top of it that I think just make it so much funnier.
Now you guys wait here while I get him, then jump out and yell surprise!
I love that he gets it backwards. Instead of bringing someone to the home and everybody shouting surprise, he's taking him outside the home and everybody shouts surprise.
For me?
Really nice lighting. How do you make the lighting even darker in a show that's already pretty dark looking? And they found that good medium there. I think a lot of the grays on the sides there, the shadows, really adds a lot. Something bad is coming. So I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty shocked when I saw that. I knew this show kind of got away with a lot. I mean, I saw the one where they took the organs and stuff like that, but I think with the eyes being so big and bulgy, like I said, they barely even stay inside the heads, and just these sharp mechanical things like grabbing them, yanking the kid yelling and everything, it's kind of terrifying. Even though it's a very silly, over-the-top looking cartoon, there's still, you feel that. Just cutting to the shadow, which apparently they were forced to do, because again, it was just too horrific to show the actual thing. In some ways, cutting to the shadow is even worse, because it just makes you imagine how it looks.
Zim, how'd you get out there?
So the eyes convince him that the squirrel outside is Zim, because there's no other way this could end. Logically, that's the direction it would go in.
You don't like waffles?
So, from what I hear, that kid was supposed to die. He was supposed to fall on, like, some telephone wires, or even just that explosion alone just somehow blows him up. Who knows? Maybe it's the eyes, who knows? Again, people objected. They said, no, that's way too dark. So they put in the line, "You don't like waffles," which I think is the exact same recording from earlier.
You don't like waffles? You don't like waffles?
Which doesn't even make a whole ton of sense. Like, he wasn't making waffles then. It was a party. Somebody was making a cake. What waffles had to do with anything? So it was just a way to show he's not dead. And he does technically make more appearances in the future without robotic eyes. He's just kind of like a background character, apparently. And to answer why is GIF in the smoke stirring the cake still, I have no idea. I think they just thought it was funny if this whole time he was still making the cake, perhaps? I'm not entirely sure. I read somewhere that they were gonna have him say a funny line, but then they couldn't think of a funny line to say, so they just had it where he's stirring the cake and that's it. I mean, it's definitely bizarre. I don't know if I would have ended it that way, but then maybe the episode would be a little bit more normal, and you can't have that for Invader Zim. It's always gotta be really crazy and weird. There it is, man. That's Bestest Friend. Man, that eye thing still gets to me, but it's still not the worst when you consider that, like, he friggin', like, torches people with, like, a beaver and a toy car or whatever the hell that was. I mean, they looked worse off than Keith did at the end of this. So it's still, you know, just like the other one I saw, it's still dark, it's still twisted, it looks great, it's got some really cool angles in it, and it's almost taking these kind of simple, innocent stories about, like, you know, a little alien coming down to Earth and mistaking stuff and everything, and just making it so much more dark and twisted, which I really enjoy. Like I said, I feel like you can really do a lot with this premise, and a lot of people have, but a lot of people have done, you know, the bare minimum or a lot of really lame jokes with it as well. So I like when someone can really, really get it down and have fun with it, seize the possibilities of it. I really enjoyed it. What did you guys think? Especially if you grew up with it and this was the second episode you saw, man. I mean, was that eye thing like, holy shit? Or were you just like, oh, cool, like I'm all over this show. So let me know what you think. Hey everyone, if there's any particular cartoon you want me to look at as being very dark or twisted, leave it in the comments below. Again, I'm not really looking for movie scenes or cartoons meant for teenagers or older. I'm talking about ones meant for little kids, but still scare the shit out of you. Whether it's an old cartoon or a new cartoon, let me know what you want me to look at.